Ladies and gentlemen, this is Diane and I'm your chief flight attendant. On behalf of Ross Murray and the entire crew, welcome aboard Tiger Airways Flight T583, non-stop service from Melbourne to Cairns. Our flight time will be of 3 hours and 20 minutes. We will be flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet, or 10,600 meters, at a ground speed of 450 miles per hour, or 724,205 kilometers per hour. At this time, make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position, and that your seat belt is correctly fastened. Also, your portable electronic devices must be set to airplane mode until an announcement is made upon arrival. Thank you.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please. Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff. Flight attendants, prepare for landing, please. Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position. Make sure your seat belt is securely fastened and all carry-on luggage is stowed underneath the seat in front of you or in the overhead bins. Thank you. 'Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cairns Airport. Local time is 3:30 p.m. and the temperature is 34 degrees Celsius. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seat belt fastened until the captain turns off the fasten seat belt sign. This will indicate that we have parked at the gate and that it is safe for you to move about. Mobile phones may only be used once the fasten seat belt sign has been turned off. Please check around your seat for any personal belongings you may have brought on board with you, and please use caution when opening the overhead bins, as heavy articles may have shifted around during the flight. If you require deplaning assistance, please remain in your seat until all other passengers have deplaned. One of our crew members will then be pleased to assist you. On behalf of Tiger Air and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we are looking forward to seeing you on board again in the near future. And have a nice stay.
Travel time from Cairns Airport directly to Port Douglas is approximately 60 minutes, and it's 66.3 kilometers.
A lush tropical setting awaits your arrival at Oaks Port Douglas Resort, ideally located just moments away from the iconic 4 Mile Beach. Whether you want to laze by the lagoon-style pool featuring its own swim-up bar, relax with a massage in our on-site spa, or dine at one of our restaurants, our breathtaking grounds offer everything you need to make a balmy afternoon extra special. Stretch out and relax in your one-bedroom apartment, where your private balcony overlooks the beautifully manicured tropical gardens just outside. Inside you'll be treated to your own kitchenette, a separate dining and lounge area, where you can put your feet up and relax after a day on the water or in the rainforest. This is a stunning view from the balcony. The Port Douglas Township was established in 1877 after the discovery of gold at Hodgkinson River by James Venture Mulligan. Port Douglas Post Office opened on the 1st of September 1877. It grew quickly, and at its peak Port Douglas had a population of 12,027 hotels. With the construction of the Mulligan Highway, it serviced towns as far away as Herberton. Port Douglas State School opened on the 11th of November 1879, but closed in 1962. It was reopened on the 23rd of January 1989. When the Kuranda Railway from Cairns to Kuranda was completed in 1891, the importance of Port Douglas dwindled along with its population. A cyclone in 1911 demolished or severely damaged all but 7 residential buildings and 4 commercial buildings, including the wharf buildings, rebuilt, the courthouse, rebuilt, the Catholic Church, rebuilt, and Chinese temples, not rebuilt. At its nadir in 1960, the town, by then little more than a fishing village, had a population of 100. The Port Douglas War Memorial was unveiled on the 10th of February 1923 by Mrs. Trezise. On the 5th of July 1943, a RAF Vultee Vengeance, serial number A27-217, crash-landed on the beach near Port Douglas. In the late 1980s, tourism boomed in the region after investor Christopher Skays financed the construction of the Sheraton Mirage Port Douglas Resort. The music video for Kylie Minogue's 1988 single, It's No Secret, was filmed in Port Douglas. In November 1996, United States President Bill Clinton and First Lady Hillary Clinton chose the town. We are now traveling to the beautiful Daintree Forest to the Marja Boardwalk. The Marja Boardwalk is among the most accessible and most interesting of all these trails. It is a looped walk that begins and ends at Oliver's Creek, a glistening stream that emerges from beneath the thick rainforest canopy. Since it is only 1.2 km in length and is entirely wheelchair accessible, many people don't expect much of the trail. But although the walk is short, it will take you on a 350 million year journey through the park's history. The informative signs along the boardwalk will teach you of this land from prehistoric times. And as you walk, you will find the signs explaining that this rainforest is one of the only places on Earth to still be preserving many ancient trees. We are now traveling from Marja Boardwalk to Thornton Beach. You can stretch your legs at Thornton Beach, just north of a long stretch of National Park, where the densely rainforest-clad slopes of Thornton Peak sweep down to the coast. We are now traveling from Thornton Beach to Cooper Creek to go on a cruise, Cape Tribulation Wilderness Cruises. Home to reputedly the most biodiverse mangrove system in Australia, Cooper Creek's significance has been internationally recognised and rewarded by Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service, which has afforded absolute protection to the creek's flora and fauna. Devoid of tourist infrastructure, freehold subdivision and agriculture, Cooper Creek is, as it was, unspoiled by development, a perfect picture of prehistoric times. We are now traveling from Port Douglas to go on a cruise to Low Island. Situated just 15 kilometers off the coast of Port Douglas, Low Isles is the ideal spot for an inner reef adventure. Made up of 2 small coral key islands surrounded by 55 acres of reef. Ospreys are fish-eating birds of prey that make the Great Barrier Reef their home. They are found on all continents except for Antarctica. Typically, an osprey's diet consists of 99% fish, and over time, have developed sharp spicules on their feet to help grip slippery fish, unlike some other seabirds who use their beaks for catching. We are now traveling from Port Douglas to Sky Rail Rainforest Cableway in Smithfield. Skyrail Rainforest Cableway is a 7.5-kilometre scenic tourist cableway running above the Barron Gorge National Park, in the wet tropics of Queensland's World Heritage Area in Australia. It operates from the Smithfield Terminal in Cairns to the Kuranda Terminal on the Atherton Tableland. We are now travelling from Smithfield Terminal, via Red Peak Terminal, and Barron Falls Terminal, ending up at Kuranda Terminal. Protected within the Barron Gorge National Park, the volume of water seen in the upper part of the video only occurs after substantial rainfall during the wet season. For much of the rest of the year, little more than a trickle is evident, due in part to the presence of a weir behind the head of the falls that supplies the Barron Gorge hydroelectric power station located downstream in the gorge. The Barron Falls may be viewed and reached by road via the Kennedy Highway that crosses the Barron River upstream of the falls, near Kuranda. The narrow-gauge Kuranda Scenic Railway and the Skyrail aerial tram also leads from the coastal plain to the tablelands. The train stops at Barron Falls Overlook, where passengers may disembark for several minutes. The Skyrail stops at 2 rainforest mid-stations, Red Peak and Barron Falls. The trail at Barron Falls Skyrail Station leads through the rainforest to 3 separate lookouts, providing views of the gorge and falls. Arriving at Kuranda Sky Rail Terminal. When Trans-Australian Airlines, now the domestic arm of Qantas, began operations in mid-1946, its first aircraft acquisition was 2 Douglas DC-3s. The shell of one of these aircraft, AC-47 Skytrain registered as VVHDAS, and the first of TAA's fleet, is on display in the Queensland town of Kuranda. The shell is a leftover of its role in the movie Sky Pirates in 1984, at which time it was given its USAF markings as 6903077 AB5. The remains of DC-3 VHDAS was assembled into a crash diorama at Kuranda in July 1984. On the Kuranda Scenic Railway, it takes us through the beautiful tropical rainforest via Barron Falls, and we get off at Freshwater Station. Construction of the railway began in 1886. The railway was completed as far as Kuranda in 1891. Passenger services began operations on the 25th of June 1891. Many lives were lost as numerous tunnels and bridges were built. 15 handmade tunnels and 37 bridges were built to climb from sea level to 328 meters up the McAllister Range. 3 million cubic meters of earth had to be excavated during construction. The first operation of a tourist train from Cairns to Kuranda was in 1936, using 4 longitudinal seating carriages. In 1995, major repairs had to be carried out after a severe rock fall damaged the track. On the 26th of March 2010, the train was derailed by a landslide, injuring 5 of the 250 passengers on board. The service was closed until the 7th of May 2010, while a geotechnical review of the track and risk assessments were completed. After the assessment had been completed, the service is now operating again.
During the Second World War, this area was the site of a large staging area for troops about to embark for the Pacific Theatre of War. Also located
Now arriving at Freshwater Station. We now go from Port Douglas to the beautiful township of Kuranda to visit Australian Butterfly Sanctuary. The Australian Butterfly Sanctuary is a butterfly sanctuary and exhibit situated in the centre of Kuranda, Queensland, Australia. Kuranda Butterfly Sanctuary is listed by the Guinness Book of Records as Australia's largest butterfly flight aviary and exhibit. The sanctuary rears a variety of butterflies, most of which are native to Far North Queensland, including the vibrant Cairns birdwing butterfly. The lab breeds about 30,000 caterpillars each year and sends about 24,000 pupae to be released in the aviary. There are around 1,500 free-flying butterflies from a variety of species. The sanctuary was conceived, designed, and built by Paul and Susan Wright in 1987. In July 2004, Charles and Pip Woodward of the CAPTA Group joined Paul and Sue Wright in an equal partnership. The CAPTA Group bought the remaining share of the Australian Butterfly Sanctuary a few years later. In April 2005, the breeding laboratories were upgraded to allow viewing by educational groups. We now go from Port Douglas to Mawsman Gorge. Mawsman Gorge is a rural locality in the Shire of Douglas, Queensland, Australia. In the 2016 census, Mawsman Gorge had a population of 246 people. The locality takes its name from the Valley Mawsman Gorge created by the Mawsman River through the Daintree National Park to the west of the locality. The Mawsman Gorge Centre is the gateway to the valley, which is a tourist attraction, with a suspension bridge providing access to a 2.4-kilometre, 1.5 mi, loop walk through the rainforest of the national park. It is part of the traditional homeland of the indigenous Kuku Yalanja people Gugu Yalanji. More than 500 different species of Australian native plants grow in the lowland tropical rainforests in the gorge area, including a wide diversity of species of trees, shrubs, vines, epiphytes and ferns. Some species abundant along the public walking tracks, often noticed and photographed by tourists. We now go from Port Douglas to Wollerman Falls. It's a 4-hour and 54-minute drive south of Port Douglas. The Wollerman Falls, a cascade and Horsdale waterfall on the Stony Creek, is located in the UNESCO World Heritage listed wet tropics in the locality of Wallaman, Shire of Hinchinbrook in the northern region of Queensland, Australia. The waterfall is notable for its main drop of 268 metres, 879 feet, which makes it the country's tallest single-drop waterfall. The pool at the bottom of the waterfall is 20 metres, 66 feet, deep. An estimated 100,000 people visit the waterfall annually. The waterfall is situated in the Garingan National Park, as it descends from the Atherton tableland, where the Stony Creek, a tributary of the Herbert River, flows over an escarpment in the Seaview Range. 7. The falls initially descend over a small number of cascades before the 268-metre, 879 feet, Horsdale drop. In total, the falls descend over 305 metres, 1,001 feet, of 5 based on the fall's single drop descent. The World Waterfall Database places Wallaman Falls at 294 in its world rankings. We now go from Port Douglas to the Boulders. It's a 2-hour and 1-minute drive south of Port Douglas. Babinda Boulders, officially called the Boulders Scenic Reserve, but known locally as Babinda Boulders, or simply the Boulders, is a public recreation reserve managed by the Cairns Regional Council and adjacent to the Wooroonaran National Park in Far North Queensland, Australia. The Boulders Scenic Reserve encompasses a section of Babinda Creek where several smaller tributaries join it. Most of the site, apart from the picnic and play areas adjacent to the main swimming hole, is covered by dense tropical rainforest. It lies in the foothills between Queensland's highest and second highest mountain peaks, Mount Bartle Frere and Mount Bellenden Kerr respectively. This high coastal mountain range, the tropical location, and the moist southeasterly trade winds are responsible for making the coastal strip between Tully and Cape Tribulation the wettest area in all of Australia. And as a result a constant supply of cool mountain water flows through all the creeks of the reserve. The Devil's Pool is at the top of a perilous section of Babinda Creek, approximately 700 m. Downstream from the main swimming hole the river valley narrows considerably, and the creek channel is filled with massive boulders and lined with bedrock, all of which have been polished smooth by the water flow over countless millennia. In the dry season the water in Babinda Creek passes over and under these rocks. We now go from Port Douglas to Hartley's Crocodile Farm. It's 28-minute drive south of Port Douglas.
This fella here, actually when we brought him in 2016, he was just under 1 centimetre under 4 metres. I now think he's actually longer than that. And this particular crocodile here, he asked because they only attack tourists. Now I'm assuming he's kidding, right? But then Lee actually jumps into the river, whereon Lee discovers that Douglas's cousin, who lives there, is actually what we call indiscriminate. And it grabs him on the arm. And they have themselves a little bit of a tussle. And let me say, I suspect only through a combination of tenacity and luck does Lee avoid the Darwinian theory of natural selection. The other lady's not so lucky that year. She's up at Thornton's Beach in Daintree. They stay on the beach till 10:30 at night, whereon they tragically decide they're going to cool off. They only go out a few metres. They knew there was crocs around, or the possibility thereof. They only went out till about this deep, and they're out there swimming yells out, a crocodile's got me. They link arms and mate grabs her arms like this. They get dragged about 50 metres all up. It's like something out of a movie. Dragged through the water, but unfortunately, in this case, it did result in a fatality. I'm unable to get that person away from the crocodile. And I'll show you how it happens. You can see Dougie looking at me here. This is what we call the minimum exposure posture. It's 2% of Dougie's body mass out of the water. And he is looking and he is listening. So what happens is, I'll just get you guys to go back a bit for me, right? All you guys are just back. He's looking and listening. Someone comes down here and starts swimming. Douglas drops under, comes down where he last saw you. As you can see, there's very little visual indication of the bad day you're about to have. You'll be there pretty freaking shortly, I'd say. Oh. That's pretty much what he does, guys. He hones in on the vibrations of your splashing and he grabs hold of you. What he does then is he just pulls you straight underwater and swims off. That's it. It's all over in about 2 seconds, bar the shouting. I strongly suspect you will not be able to outfight Doug. If the croc's any bigger, you'll stand no chance at all and no one will get to you because they probably won't even know where you are. The croc will have you under the water and he'll be moving away. I'm going to chuck a little bit of food out. This is Hartley's bravest bird, guys.
Well, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Have a good day. Learned a lot about crocodiles, haven't we? Well, good news. The crocodile's got his game face on. Yeah, definitely seems to be in a bit of a mood. Alright, I better get back in there. You guys want to splash him over there for me? We're just moving back into the water. He's under your key.
He's following him.
It doesn't take long, does it? Alright guys, well first of all I'd just like to say g'day and welcome to Hartley's Crocodile Adventures. If you haven't met me yet, my name's Jesse, I'm one of the croc dudes here. In my corner I got Keith and Mario, they're my backup if things go wrong. We've decided it's a good idea to have some help when things go wrong. Because over the years of having close calls, we've realised you guys do absolutely nothing. Apart from film it. And I'll probably do the same. Now what we're going to do in this attack show, I mean we call it the attack show for good reasons. We get this crocodile lunging out a few times, trying to bite me, always entertaining. And we're going to give him some chicken. And we'll also get him to do the death roll later on in the show. So it should be quite good. We're going to talk about how they attack and most importantly how to avoid a crocodile attack as well. So hopefully the show will be a bit educational for you too. But I better introduce you to this wonderful animal. This crocodile is the star of the whole show around here. He is the best crocodile I've ever worked with. And I've worked with heaps of them. He was handpicked for this attack show because he has got some serious anger management issues going on. He's the baddest of the bad, I can tell you. We've trialled this crocodile in multiple enclosures. We had him in the main lagoon with multiple crocs, females, all sorts of stuff, and he wasn't interested in them, and he just tried to kill them. He was hyper aggressive, so we decided to utilise him as a show crocodile. And what a performer he is. He doesn't have to do this show, guys. We can't force him. I mean, he is a crocodile. If he doesn't want to partake in this show, he'll sit out there in the deep water, not come over at all. But this guy will not do that. He'll be sitting in front of the log, lurking back and forward here with seriously bad intentions the entire show. His name is a fantastic crocodile name. Sorry guys. We really thought outside the box with this one. You've always got the originals in this industry. I mean, who doesn't have a crocodile called Chopper or Godzilla in this industry? But this guy, we decided to call him Hagrid. Just like the character of Harry Potter, he's got that big, doofy head. Yeah, cool crocodile name, huh? I'm just going to find him again. I have to admit, I'm not too sure where he is. So what we're going to do with Hagrid, straight up, we're going to feed him. Give him a piece of chicken. Okay, so I'll just find him again. He's right there. That's close enough, dude. Close as it can, guys. That's why you're a show crocodile, dude. Do we have an issue? Peace. So you can have a good look at him there. He'll move back into position here. He'll be moving back in. Relax, guys, we are professionals. Alrighty, so. Sorry. Hagrid here is a male saltwater crocodile. He is too big to be a female. With this species, anything over 3.5 metres, it is a boy, too big to be a girl. Now, believe it or not, me and the crew here, we have measured Hagrid. It's a difficult job, but we can do it. And to our surprise, he was 3.6 metres long. I could have sworn he was a 4 metre long crocodile. But what he hasn't got with the max length, he has got the bulk with his maturity, and that's what makes him look big. He's bulky. So he's about 250 kilos in weight. Definitely not the biggest crocodile I've got here at the park, but he is big enough to ruin my day, to say the least. With the common names that they have, they are known as saltwater crocs, Indo-Pacific crocodiles, or estuarine crocs. But all the locals, including myself, just refer to them as salties. We do not get too complex up here. Salties, personally, I think stand out from all other species, and the reason for this, they are the biggest. And from all the records that we have, these guys hold the title. And in 2011, they caught a 6 metre, 17 centimetre saltwater croc from the Philippines. That animal did indeed weigh over 1 tonne in weight. So they are known for being the largest living reptile on the planet. They are also known for being hyper-predatory. And what this means for us, they are extremely dangerous. And throughout their distribution, there is hundreds of attacks every year. And a lot of people do get killed. You don't find this species just here in Northern Australia. You do find them out in the South Pacific. Thought he was there. Southeast Asia and as far as the east coast of India. Extremely widespread. Sorry guys, got a bit of flu today. They're extremely widespread, and in some of these developing countries, they come in direct conflict with crocodiles. For day-to-day use, washing, drinking, surviving, around the waterways, people do have severe issues with them. But here in Australia, we have got privileges, and despite us having the highest densities of wild saltwater crocs in the world, attacks are not a common occurrence. We only enter the water by choice, and most people are pretty careful. Most people are quite sensible. And when attacks do happen, I won't lie, usually there's human contributing factors behind them, so people are taking unnecessary risks in crocodile habitat. And what we see typically happening is fishermen standing in the water knee deep, camping too close to the water, and people leaving their fish traps at the boat ramp. These are the type of behaviours that you need to modify around the waterways. When we actually look right into the statistics of the modern day attacks here in Australia, there is patterns that stand out for us. Usually to get grabbed by, say, Hagrid's cousin out in the wild, you are in the water swimming around with them. Can you imagine that? And this thing pops up next to you? Seems to be nighttime swimming is also quite popular. Guess what else is involved? Alcohol is a huge contributing factor. So if you don't want to be grabbed by a crocodile, try not to swim with it in the dark when you're drunk. That might help you out just a little bit. What do you think? And you might be thinking to yourselves, who would do that? Because that sounds crazy. And it is. And when you speak to a lot of the locals, they love to assure you how crocs love to eat tourists. Particularly Germans, in fact. Well, that's why they put the Achtung sign on the boards, isn't it? We did investigate this as well, and it turns out that is not true. Only one German lady's ever been killed by a crocodile here in Australia. And she was on an organised tour in the Kakadu National Park, and she was told by the Aussie tour guide it was okay to go swimming in a billabong at 10:30 at night. That resulted poorly. So usually the people taking these unnecessary risks, and we are miles in front of our tourist competitors, are the Aussie locals. Because they're locals, I mean, they know there's crocs there. When they come down to a body of water like this, they have a look around, they don't see an actual danger, and they have to be telling themselves, she'll be right. What could go wrong? They enter the water. Big risk, huh? You guys see this animal moving into position? When it comes to how they attack, they are the masters of the ambush. The element of surprise is how they secure their prey. So you don't see them. Hagrid's fantastic at demonstrating this. I mean, the water that he's in, it's about that deep in front here, and he can fully submerge, not giving away the large lizard that he is. Alright? He is very in tune to his environment. I mean, for starters, he is described as a semi-aquatic ambush predator, targeting prey items in the water and at the water's edge. That is their niche in their environment. It's very successful. But some of these major senses that he has have evolved for the aerial environment just like us. So eyes, ears and nose situated to the top of his head. So what he can do, I mean, when he's submerged like this, he can alter his buoyancy really easily. And he can just slowly drift to the surface. And the only thing he'll expose out of the water, eyes, ears and nose. It's what we call the minimum exposure posture. Anything happening in the water or at the water's edge, daytime or nighttime, he will know about it. He's about to do it. Watch this. I see you, buddy. Good timing. What a professional. I see you. And it took me ages to train him to do that. So that's perfect example. What he did then, he just popped up and he located his prey, which was me. That's him being visual. Once they typically locate their prey, that's when they duck under, and that's what he did then. Just submerge, and he's trying to move into the ideal position to make that attack. When they are fully submerged, a lot of his primary senses go out the window. He cannot smell underwater. Eyesight in murky conditions would be poor, and hearing would be muffled. But millions of years of evolution. Millions of years of evolution can only benefit you, right? He's got pressure receptors all over his body that pick up on vibrations. Me walking along the bank here, I'm sending off vibrations, giving away my position. If you come down in the water, start doing these ones, that is like ringing the dinner bell. It makes me nervous doing that. When they feel like they're in strike range, that's when they'll explode out of the water with speed and power and have a shot at the title. So let's see if we can demonstrate that. What I'm going to use here is the bait rope. It's natural fibred rope with a bit of cowhide on the end of it. Hagrid here, he likes it. It's a tool of the trade. So I'm going to work him a little bit, see if we can pop him up again. You come all the way up. He's sinking all the way. A little bit further there. He's dropped back in front of that log, guys. That's where you do not want to go. See if we can pop him out again here. Up a bit further. Now you can sort of feel the power. You can feel the power there. That popping sound is what we call a jaw slap around here. So these are known for being the hardest biting animals in the world. The bigger they are, the harder they bite. And they need to bite hard because of their teeth. I don't know if you guys saw his teeth just then, I most certainly did. They're big and they're conical. They've evolved for gripping. Penetrate, interlock and hold is all they need to do. And even if they just grip onto a small bit of skin, they're not letting go. Once those teeth mesh in, they usually do a big U-turn, take their prey on straight out the water, submerge and drown it. Drowning is typically how they kill their prey. If I miscalculated doing this show, guys, and Hagrid actually got me out there in the deep water and he took me under, in a situation like that for myself, realistically, I'd be lucky to hold my breath for 20 or 30 seconds. Very stressful. For him, if I'm making it a stressful situation, so if I'm resisting against him, he can still stay submerged for 30 to 60 minutes, no problem. You will not win that game. On a voluntary dive, when they are relaxed, they are renowned for staying underwater for hours on end. We're talking 4 or 5 hours sort of thing. Once they've drowned their prey, they will eat it. But what we are looking at is an opportunistic and indiscriminate feeder. But one thing is for sure, he is a carnivore. He only eats meat. There is no vegetarian or vegan crocodiles out there. But in the wild, he would naturally predate on the birds, the crabs and fish, and the larger individuals will take down land-based prey. So that's your wallabies, your pigs and dingoes, and the really big mature males will take down livestock, cows, horses and buffaloes. And if they do overpower something quite large that they can't swallow whole, that's where they need to break it apart, and that's how they typically do the death roll, spinning on their prey to break it up so they can eat it. So we might try to demonstrate this activity. Get him right up here. It's all about getting him into the right positions. Watch the toes, buddy, watch the toes. Nice jaw slap. Yeah. Alright, so he's hooked on. He just wants to get it out into that water. That's what his primary goal is. That's that famous death roll, guys. See if we can get another one. When are you going to roll? They also do those head flicks, big head shakes. Yeah, that's a little bit slower, dude. There you go, so that's the famous death roll. A couple of good ones out in the water there. That last one he did. You guys are lucky to observe the slowest rolling crocodile in the world right now. You see the death roll in slow motion. Anyway, we won't push them too much, guys, but that gives you the idea of the death roll. Quite impressive instinctual behaviour when they do that. We can just manipulate them to do it when we pull certain angles off the rock. It works quite well. That was the easy part for me. Now I've got to get the bait back off him. That is challenging. What Keith's going to do over here is just chuck a few little chicken feathers in the water. Makes him think about it. He's going to want to eat the bait, chicken, me, something. And to swallow the bait that he's got, he'll have to bring his head to the surface and juggle it down the back of his throat. When he does that, I'll just yank it out of his mouth. hopefully. He did hold on to it till about 8 o'clock one night, so I hope you're comfortable. He's not time stressed for the 340 boat, this crocodile. Well, this brings me to a fantastic question. Have you guys ever wondered what to do if a croc has got a hold of you? How to make it let go? Is there any suggestions there? Poke him in the eyes, I heard. Anything else? Give him a cuddle? Try. Anything else? Punch him in the nose, I like it. Look, to be honest, there's no set strategy of what to do if a croc's got you, as long as you do something. People often suggest to us you should try playing dead. Please don't ever do that. You've seen him, right? Like, he's a ruthless character. He'll grab you and pull you straight out there, no mucking around. So don't play dead. There are theories of what to do. I've heard of a suggestion you can shove your arm down their throat and flood their lungs full of water. That's a theory, let's clear that up. But if you're in that situation and nothing else is working, give it a shot, why not? I do like the suggestion of punch them in the nose. They do have a nasal disc on the end of their snout. It's a soft circular pad. I would definitely smash into them as hard as you can. The eye gouge, I like that too because I've heard of several cases where it's worked. I've also heard of a few cases where it hasn't, which levels out my feelings really. But one of these stories where it actually worked, it's famous in this industry. It's famous because it had a twisted ending. So the scenario of this, about 15 years ago up in Cape York Peninsula, there's a family camping right next to the water's edge. That's not recommended, mind you. Up here on the top end, for camping, we suggest 50 metres back and 2 metres above the water level mark. Suck it. Oh, yeah. He gets a bit grumpy when I take that off him. He's a hard crocodile. Definition accurate. You're gonna have a shot at the turtle, huh? Yeah, it's always fun playing with fire around here, huh? Alright, so back with camping. The recommended suggestions is 50 metres back and 2 metres above the water level mark. That's what we recommend for camping up here. To be honest, when I go camping, I sleep in the back of my truck. I know what crocs are like, and I've heard of stories of crocs coming into campsites before. Now this family up in Cape York, they weren't doing that. They weren't right back, they were too close to the water, and in the middle of the night, a 4.5 metre crocodile, this guy's not even 4 metres, so a really big one, like 400 kilo animal, walked into the campsite, picked this old lady up off the ground, and started to walk back towards the river. But luckily for her, she was not alone. There was a guy there, he saw the situation, quick thinking, he tackled the crocodile, and he jammed his fingers in its eyes, and it worked. It spat the lady out, he even copped a bite on the arm himself. Like, he was a hero, he saved the day with the eye gouge. But when we investigate the stories, which is what we do, and we do not sugarcoat them, this guy had 2 significant advantages. One, the crocodile was on land. That will definitely help you out. If the croc had a hold of her in the water, I believe the outcome would have been different for sure. But more significantly, the crocodile did have a hold of someone else, which will help you out every day of the week. But what made this story famous was the ending. This guy was an Aussie who just successfully saved his mother-in-law. Sometimes in life, you should let nature take its course. What a hero, what a hero. Try the eye gouge. Go on, buddy, give me some breathing room. Can I go down? Yeah, so try the eye gouge. If you want my personal opinion, and I have been specialising in crocs for a long time, so I have the crew around here. We believe if a crocodile this size or bigger has got you in the water, we think you're done. You can try to outfight him, but I suspect it won't work. Most people that have had that experience, you know what they are? They're dead. Yeah, they are hardcore animals, and once they are 100% committed into hooking into their prey, they are unforgiving, for sure. Now, another question people tend to ask us a lot is, how do you run away from them if they're chasing you? Now, this is something that me and the crew here have had a lot of experience in. We get chased by crocodiles every day. We got over 3,000 crocs on this property, and we interact with them in all sorts of levels. We do nest raids, even general maintenance, doing fencing and enclosures. We have crocs charging out at us. We do feeding and demonstrations. On a daily basis, they have a fair crack at us. And what we do is a proven technique. We have not been caught yet. You would notice. We've had close calls, but like I said, close doesn't count around here. We have had bites. No one's been hooked up by a big mature male like this, but we have had bites from smaller individuals, but that's nothing but character building. Just toughens you up a little bit. So when we go to run away from crocs, our technique is simplistic but effective. We take off flat out, opposite direction. Push everyone else out of the road. Natural selection right there. Yeah. Lucky enough, we are quite good on land. These animals, where they are most deadly, is in the water and at the water's edge. That's where they're lethal. You can't outswim them, guys. And along the edge here, they can shoot out quite quickly. But if they actually come up high and try and put a charge in, it's a short burst of speed. They're not endurance animals. You might do a 5 to 10 kilometre charge at you. Yeah, and you'll only move a few sort of metres and give up and resort back to the water. By the time he's done 5 or 10 metres, guys, you would have done about 2 kilometres guaranteed. You'd be surprised with how much extra enthusiasm you have behind you when there's a crocodile chasing you. So we can outrun them. Now we are going to give Hagrid some another piece of chicken. He knows the structure and will show this crocodile quite well. So we will feed him shooting back towards that gate over there. It should be quite exciting because he seems to be quite supercharged with the hot weather today. But I will just quickly mention, in order of human-crocodile interactions and safety aspects, I mean, it's a bit of a good news, bad news situation. I mean, conservationally speaking, for crocodiles, they are secure as a species. They've had 50 years of full protection, so that means it's illegal to shoot them from the wild. And since that protection, 50 years, the numbers have slowly recovered. And they are bouncing back well. So some of the areas in Australia, like Cape York, Northern Territory and some parts of the Kimberley in WA have got extremely high densities of saltwater crocs. We're talking up to, I don't know, 4 to 5 per kilometre in the healthy river systems of mature animals. Some river systems in the Territory are back to carrying capacity, so the numbers aren't increasing anymore, they're not decreasing. They've plateaued, and some of the rivers in the Territory support densities as high as 10 to 15 mature crocs per kilometre. And I have to admit, if I lived in the Northern Territory, I wouldn't do much swimming. That's heaps of crocodiles. The bad news is, guys, they are bouncing back in secure numbers, and they are predatory animals. So more crocs, more people, more interactions. So what this tells us, there will be more crocodile attacks here in Australia. You will hear about it. We do implement a crocodile management strategy to provide safety for people. They've been doing it for many years and it's been a proven method. And since they implement these techniques to manage them, attacks are statistically lower. But they're simple stuff, guys. They just trap and remove naughty crocs. So any crocs hanging around boat ramps, scaring fishermen or eating people's dogs, you pull them out. They're condemned to a captive life. We've housed heaps of them over the years here at Hartley's. We got Big Trinity down the back. He was chasing water skiers around Trinity Inlet. Yeah, that was a problem. We got Douglas in the 11 o'clock lagoon. He had a shot at a golfer in the Sheridan Mirage Golf Course. That was also a problem. Yeah, so we got a lot of naughty crocs here. We will house them if we've got the space. The best thing that we can do is education, I believe. The more we know about them, the safer we'll be. The government's on board by putting lots of signage up. They also try to steer people in the right directions where to go swimming. Now this is something that people ask me a lot that are not from this region, are not accustomed to living with crocs. They hear the stories, they see the signs, they go, oh my God, where can we go swimming? You know, the anxiety level's up a little bit. But there are places where you can safely swim up here. You've got Mossman Gorge, Crystal Cascades and Josephine Falls, Belinda Bowls. There's a series of beautiful waterholes which do not have crocs. The beach is the point of contention. This time of year is a tricky time of year for the beach because the water temperature is warm and that's brought on the tropical jellyfish. You've got the Irukandji in the box jellies, and they are common and they are dangerous. We've also got minimum shark control and there are sharks. Some of the locals have been making a point for animal activists and deliberately catching big bull sharks and tiger sharks off the local northern beaches here to prove a point, and they are there. And we've also got the odd nomadic crocodile swimming past the beaches, so enjoy your holidays, huh? If you do want my advice on the local beaches, stick where the lifeguards are set up within those stinger nets. Daytime use only. If you go further north, up into Daintree or up into Cape York, more care is needed. Alright, but that's what I would do. And if you're still a bit nervous of swimming in the nets, swim in the middle of everyone else. Now, we are almost going to feed him. He's sitting in a great position for me, but what we might do is hand it over to you guys quickly for some questions. Now, don't be shy of the questions. We like the challenge. We do a lot of crocodile shows. We hear a lot of different things. And to give you an example of the type of questions that I'm used to getting, last year in the Pega school holidays, there was hundreds of people. Hundreds. It was a packed out crowd. It's quite intimidating in its own right. And a kid stood up in the front row and he asked me where I got my Australian accent from. It's a simple question, but at the time, the pressure of the crowd, it can get to you. I panicked and I pushed the kid in the water. So on that note, is there any questions? Is there anything you guys want to know about the crocodiles? Don't be shy, guys. Anything at all? You got one? How fast can they run? And swim, so about 25 kilometres an hour swimming, up and over that in fact, and they can run maybe 8 to 12 kilometres an hour, short bursts though, buddy. Why isn't he attacking underwater? Look, Hagrid here is an educated crocodile. Some people ask us, you know, is he tamed? Did you train him? Tame and training do not go with crocodiles. Sort of implies sort of obedience, and he is not obedient. He is a crocodile. I've been working with him for a long, long time, guys, and I found it very difficult to bond with Hagrid. And it turns out crocodiles aren't the bonding type. That's what we are. People often try to compare these animals with human emotions, and realistically nothing thinks like us. And crocs are actually lacking a limbic system in their brain, so any sort of emotional capacity, abstract thought, happiness or sadness, they don't even think like that. Their thought process is instinctive. They do have the ability to learn, but it's associative learning from good or bad experiences. So that's what we're seeing a lot of here, associative learning. You could technically call it conditioning. Hagrid will be responding to feed cues that I deliver in this show. It's not to be trusted though, it's not a foolproof method. Occasionally he has a solid crack at me, unexpected, no cues delivered, he just has a shot. So whenever we do training with the crew to work with crocs, whenever they enter an enclosure, expect the animal to put in 100% every time. Also know your exits. Gates open, I can jump that fence, I can jump these fences, you know. Having exits in your mind is always handy. So it becomes a reflex of where you're going to run and what you're going to do. He'll have a shot sometimes. He is quite a cunning crocodile. He's almost ended my life a couple of times during the show. Any other questions?
Quick one.
Yep.
How tall are you?
Tall?
I'm just trying to find out, because like that fella, he's coming up really chest high. How much
When he's jumping up?
Yeah.
So, to put it in perspective for you, when they jump up like that, I mean, he can jump past his back legs. And say they're roughly half tail wide measurement, roughly, right? he's almost 4 metres. If he jumps past his back legs, that's 2 metres jumping up out of the water. He gets his head up to here, alright, no problem. Yeah, so if that puts in perspective for you, if you see him get past their back legs and it's a 4 metre croc, that's 2 metres out of the air.
Well, and the question would be is how common would a normal attack be like that in the wild?
Jumping for crocs is a natural behaviour, and they all do it to utilise prey opportunities. So what we typically get at certain times of years is fruitbat colonies roosting in the Melaleucas, and the crocs will power up and jump them out of trees. They also will seize birds and whatnot that are in the overhanging branches. So when they're in the deep water, propulsion by the tail, they jump up. So it's a natural behaviour. I wouldn't say, I couldn't give you how often they do it in the wild, but it is definitely something they do. How often do they eat a day? I'm very technical when it comes to feeding crocs around here at the park. I run off chickens per week. If you gave Hagrid 1 chicken a week, he's well fed. 6 to 12 months without a feed, I suspect he would be okay. I would not want to do the first show with him after that though. So the benefits for him, he's ectothermic, primarily externally heated. So he retains a lot of his heat to function as a crocodile from external sources, the sun. We're endothermic, primarily internally heated. We're very active, we eat a lot of food to keep our metabolic heat high, so we eat more than Hagrid. 1 chicken a week, well fed. How's that, eh? Yep. Does he stay in this enclosure? So yes, this is his territory at the moment. So we've got another pen behind him, and we do try to rotate show crocs. We used to do it often, but not so much anymore. We try to leave them to be settled. Change, moving him constantly was not good for him. So the longer he's in here, the better he seems to be. Okay, he's got a beautiful earth pond. I like the earth ponds personally in comparison to concrete. So it's dirty water, he can submerge, he can feel secured. He's got a nice basking bank and he gets to express his predatory nature every day while trying to kill me. He's a poster child for saltwater crocs. He's in peak physical and mental condition. And like I said in the beginning, we don't have to force him to do nothing. He was probably waiting in front of that log since about 2 o'clock. Almost showtime. Yeah, buddy? Could he jump the fence? In here with me? He's definitely wrapped his head around the bar here and had a fair crack at it. He has never actually jumped in with me. I'm not going to say he couldn't because, well, I've seen crocs fling over fences before, not in here but in other areas. So he probably could if he wanted to. But he's not really thinking like us. He's not going, well, if I flick over there, then I can corner him in here, you know. If it just happens in the show one day, no big deal. I can flick out over a fence over here. The croc would be in here. It would be a hell of a show, could you imagine? The crowd loves it when things always go wrong. That's when we get the best responses. Up the back, guys.
Do crocodiles ever eat outside of water?
Do the crocs ever eat outside of water? Yep, they do. So they're not fussy where they eat, in the water or on the land. What they do have to do though, if they've actually grabbed a prey item in the water, they can't swallow it under, so they'll have to bring their head to the surface. Did you see when I flicked that bait rope out of his mouth? What he was actually doing is trying to swallow it. So he lifted his head up and he juggled it down and I just flicked it out of his mouth. Couple more questions, guys, up front here, yep. Have I ever been attacked when you've been watching the show? I get attacked all the time. But if you're asking if I've ever been bitten, that is another question, I suppose. But I will say, for start off, we are a professional establishment. And it would be unprofessional to answer that question with yes. So no. You would notice if this dude hooked onto me. I'll be messed up, for sure. I have had bites in my career, but it's from smaller crocs. Punch wounds and lacerations is what you're looking at with smaller crocodiles. But honestly, when you decide you want to work with crocodiles, you better read the fine print. Because they're going to send you into environments that can be hazardous. And if you're not mentally prepared for near-death experiences, or maybe even copping a bite or losing a limb in your life, and you're going to work with koalas. And as croc keepers, this is what we do by choice, you know. I do this working with crocs because I like it. I get a bit of a kick out of it myself, you know. Public speaking can be a challenge, but croc work, a lot of fun. Alright, speaking of croc work, should we feed him? Yeah! If you do have any more questions, come have a chat to me after the show. But let's give him some food because he's waiting right there. He's been waiting. He's a funny little crocodile. Just bring him a little bit closer here. Almost. Chicken. Way hungry. You're the best, buddy. You're the best. Alright guys, that's all we got time for Crocodile Show. Did everyone enjoy that? Please don't forget about the other.
Our journey is about to come to an end. We are now travelling from Port Douglas to Cairns Airport. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Robin and I'm your chief flight attendant. On behalf of Captain Don West and the entire crew, welcome aboard Tiger Air Airlines Flight TT582, non-stop service from Cairns to Melbourne. Our flight time will be of 3 hours and 25 minutes. We will be flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet, or 10,668 meters, at a ground speed of 600 miles per hour, or 1,111.2 kilometers per hour. At this time, make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position, and that your seat belt is correctly fastened. Also, your portable electronic devices must be set to airplane mode until an announcement is made upon arrival. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seat belt sign. If you haven't already done so, please stow your carry-on luggage underneath the seat in front of you or in an overhead bin. Please take your seat and fasten your seat belt. And also make sure your seat back and folding trays are in their full upright position. If you are seated next to an emergency exit, please read carefully the special instructions card located by your seat. If you do not wish to perform the functions described in the event of an emergency, please ask a flight attendant to reseat you. We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Smoking is prohibited on the entire aircraft, including the lavatories. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the lavatory smoke detectors is prohibited by law. If you have any questions about our flight today, please don't hesitate to ask one of our flight attendants. Thank you.
Flight attendants and cabin crew, please prepare for gate departure. Flight attendants and cabin crew, doors on automatic, cross-check and report. Thank you.
Now we request your full attention, as the flight attendants demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft. When the seatbelt sign illuminates, you must fasten your seat belt. Insert the metal fittings one into the other, and tighten by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seat belt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. We suggest that you keep your seat belt fastened throughout the flight, as we may experience turbulence. There are several emergency exits on this aircraft, 2 forward, 2 at the rear of the plane, and 2 over each wing. Please take a few moments now to locate your nearest exit. In some cases, your nearest exit may be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, floor-level lighting will guide you towards the exit. Doors can be opened by moving the handle in the direction of the arrow. Each door is equipped with an inflatable slide, which may also be detached and used as a life raft. Oxygen and the air pressure are always being monitored. In the event of a decompression, an oxygen mask will automatically appear in front of you. To start the flow of oxygen, pull the mask towards you. Place it firmly over your nose and mouth, secure the elastic band behind your head, and breathe normally. Although the bag does not inflate, oxygen is flowing to the mask. If you are traveling with a child or someone who requires assistance, secure your mask on first, and then assist the other person. Keep your mask on until a uniformed crew member advises you to remove it. In the event of an emergency, please assume the bracing position. Lean forward with your hands on top of your head and your elbows against your thighs. Ensure your feet are flat on the floor. A life vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed to do so, open the plastic pouch and remove the vest. Slip it over your head. Pass the straps around your waist and adjust at the front. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord, only when leaving the aircraft. If you need to refill the vest, blow into the mouthpieces. Use the whistle and light to attract attention. Also, your seat bottom cushion can be used as a flotation device. Pull the cushion from the seat, slip your arms into the straps, and hug the cushion to your chest. At this time, your portable electronic devices must be set to airplane mode until an announcement is made upon arrival. We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the smoke detectors located in the lavatories is prohibited by law. You will find this and all the other safety information in the card located in the seat pocket in front of you. We strongly suggest you read it before takeoff. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask one of our crew members. We wish you all an enjoyable flight. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has switched off the seatbelt sign. You will be able to move around the cabin. But if you are seated, we recommend to leave your seatbelt on, in case we experience any turbulence during our flight. Ladies and gentlemen, our flight crew will be coming around shortly, with drinks and light snacks. If you would like to purchase any of these items, you will be able to pay for these via EPOS terminal. We do accept Visa or MasterCard. Also, if you would like to use our in-flight entertainment, you can download an app on your phone or tablet. If you need any assistance, please ask any of our friendly flight attendants. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in the full upright position. Make sure your seatbelt is securely fastened and all carry-on luggage is stowed underneath the seat in front of you or in the overhead bins. Thank you.
Flight attendants, prepare for landing, please. Cabin crew, please take your seats for landing.
100 above. Minimum 500. $100, 50, 30, 20, retard, retard.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Melbourne Airport. Local time is 6:30 p.m. and the temperature is 24 degrees Celsius. For your safety and comfort, Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captain turns off the fasten seatbelt sign. This will indicate that we have parked at the gate and that it is safe for you to move about. Mobile phones may only be used once the fasten seatbelt sign has been turned on. Please check around your seat for any personal belongings you may have brought on board with you, and please use caution when opening the overhead bins, as heavy articles may have shifted around during the flight. If you require deplaning assistance, please remain in your seat until all other passengers have deplaned. One of our crew members will then be pleased to assist you. On behalf of Tiger Air and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we are looking forward to seeing you on board again in the near future. Have a nice day.